Hey there! How can I create a survey in LimeSurvey? As soon as you have logged in, you can select the button Create a new survey, and then it looks like this. You have to enter a survey title. I just write survey, and then you have to choose the language of the survey. And these are actually the only two mandatory information you have to enter. The rest of all the presettings that are made here can also be changed later. That means you can simply start creating your survey first and then look at these whole settings step by step later. But let's get a little overview. We can give a description for the survey here. It will then be displayed to the participants. Then we have a welcome message where you can say welcome to our survey, it's about this and that topic, and so on. And we have a final message that is displayed to the respondents at the very end when they have completed all the questions and have sent the survey. In the tabs up here, we have a lot of settings that you should look through before you start the survey, but you don't necessarily have to check them now. In the general settings, you can set various things. Here, regarding the format, you can change your email address and you can set the format, how the questionnaire should be structured. Namely, the presetting is group by group, and that means the following. A group is what is shown in the survey on one page. That means when you leave the default setting, group by group, then you fill the individual pages with different questions. So for example, you have 2 or 3 questions per page. Alternatively, you can set it on question by question. Then every page of the survey includes only one question. Or you can select all on one page. Then, as the name says, all questions in the questionnaire are displayed on one page. Then there are a lot of settings here. It continues with presentation and navigation. So you can set how the respondents can navigate through the questionnaire. For example, if backward navigation is allowed, yes or no. A progress bar is displayed in the questionnaire, yes or no, and so on. Then you have publication and access control. Here you can specify, for example, when should the survey begin and when should the survey end. And you can specify, for example, whether cookies should be set to prevent repeated participation or not. Then you can set a few more things in notification and data management, which you can also take a look before you start the survey. And then you have participant settings. These settings are only relevant if you want to send tokens to the participants of the survey. If you want to work with an open link so that anyone who has the link can participate in the survey, then you do not need to make any settings here. If you want to work with an open link so that anyone who has the link to the survey can participate, then you do not need to make any settings here. Well, let's go back to the start. I haven't actually changed anything in the settings and just entered the language and the survey title here, and then click on Save. So now it says your new survey was created. Great. Now you can see these two tabs on the left, Settings and Structure. In Settings, you can see again all the settings just mentioned. In Structure, you can create the structure of your survey. That means you can create questions and question groups. Okay, let's start with Add Question Group and just call it Question Group 1. Additionally, you can write a description for the question group, and you can specify a randomization group and a relevance equation. These things are not relevant at the beginning. Now you can click Save or Save and Add Question or Save and New Group. I want to add a question in this question group now, so I click on Save and Add Question. If I want to add a question now, LimeSurvey asks me first of all, what is the code for the question supposed to be called? And that means a short abbreviation for the question that will then later be used for the analysis, for example in a statistical software. So you can either number it So we just say Q1, Q2, Q3 and so on. Or you can make short abbreviation for the content of your question. Then comes the actual question. So you would write in your question formulation. For example, if you want to know how strongly people agree with a certain statement, you write, how strongly do you agree with this and that statement? And in addition, you can enter a help text if you want to provide support in filling out the question. So then here on the right side, you can now choose which type of question you want to have. You see the presetting is long free text. And then a lot of different types of questions are offered here. I make an extra video to these types of questions, but you can also take a look for it a while. You can always see a little preview on the page what this type of question looks like. A very typical type of question here is this radio list. There you can give different answer options and then just enter them. So I'll take that as an example now. Here you can make a few settings, whether there should be another answer option, whether the question should be a mandatory question, that is, whether the respondents can continue to use the questionnaire if they do not answer the question or not. The default setting is off so that people can continue clicking even if they have not answered the question. And then there are a lot of other settings which are not relevant when starting with LimeSurvey. Okay, for this first impression, let's leave it that way and go back to save. Now you see that the survey consists of one question group with one question at the moment. You can add further question groups and further question here. And now let's take a look at how one can process such a question here again. We had created the question up to now, Q1, and I simply entered what is your question as the question text. What we haven't done yet is that we haven't defined the answer options for this question. You can now use what LimeSurvey offers you here. You need to add answer options to this question. Alternatively, you can click on Edit Answer Options up here. Here you can enter the answer options. For example, I totally agree, and then I can specify another option, I agree, and so on. I have an important note about this. You have to enter a code for every answer option here. This is the code that is assigned internally for this answer option. And if you want to evaluate the whole thing later with a statistical software, then it is important that you change this so that it does not read A1, A2 and so on, but that you change it to 1, 2, 3 and so on, so that there are only numbers. Then it will be in the statistics software, for example Stata, correctly recognized as a numeric variable and not as a string variable. So if you have entered all your answer possibilities, you can go to Save and Close and then come back here to our survey overview. Well, so far as the first insight and as the first start for LimeSurvey. There will be more videos that introduce the different types of questions and also how to activate and evaluate a survey later. So first, have a lot of success starting with LimeSurvey.